In the dark reaches of space, a powerful alien empire watched Earth with interest. They had been studying humans for years, convinced that Earth was not a threat. The alien race, known as the Zorvans, had conquered many planets across the galaxy. They had seen Earth's wars, its struggles, and its divisions. To them, humanity seemed weak and divided, nothing to fear. The Zorvans were a race of massive, intelligent beings with advanced technology that far outstripped anything Earth had. Their ships were huge and nearly invincible, their weapons capable of destroying entire cities with a single shot. They ruled with an iron fist, and no species had ever dared challenge them. But Earth was different. Humans had always been divided, fighting among themselves. The Zorvans saw Earth's wars, its constant political struggles, and its lack of unity. They believed that humanity was too weak to defend itself, and that no matter how much Earth fought back, it would never be able to stand against a force like theirs. They thought they had nothing to fear from these tiny, fragile creatures. One day, the Zorvan Empire made its decision. They would invade Earth, conquer it, and add it to their ever-growing list of subjects. The Zorvans sent word across the galaxy, calling their fleet together. The invasion was about to begin. Back on Earth, the leaders of the world had no idea what was coming. For years, Earth had been focusing on other problems: climate change, political tensions, and economic struggles. The idea of an alien invasion seemed like something from a science fiction movie, not something that could happen in real life. But the Zorvans were coming, and they were ready to attack. As the alien fleet drew closer, the Zorvans began to mock Earth's attempts to defend itself. They had scanned Earth's weapons, and what they found made them laugh. Human technology was outdated. Their ships were slow and clunky. Their weapons could barely destroy a single alien vessel, let alone the massive Zorvan fleet. The Zorvans thought they had all the time in the world. They saw Earth's military as weak and unprepared. Even the world's strongest nations were no match for the power of the Zorvans. The aliens had no fear, no sense of urgency. They were ready to wipe Earth off the map, and they didn't think it would take long. As the alien fleet moved closer to Earth's orbit, the Zorvans began to prepare for the final phase of their attack. Their ships were positioned, their weapons charged, and their soldiers ready to land. They knew the humans would resist, but they believed that the resistance would be weak and easily crushed. The humans would try to fight, but they would fail. It was as simple as that. On Earth, governments were in chaos. News of the incoming invasion spread like wildfire. Panic began to set in as world leaders scrambled to organize a defense. But the truth was, they had no idea how to fight a force as powerful as the Zorvans. Earth's military had never faced anything like this before. But hidden from the eyes of the Zorvans was something the aliens never expected. Earth had one last secret weapon. It was something so powerful, so advanced, that even the greatest minds of Earth's military hadn't fully understood it. A massive fleet of ships, built in secret, waiting for the day they would need to fight. No one knew of its existence, not even the humans who would soon rely on it to defend their world. As the Zorvans prepared to strike, Earth's commanders were silently activating the fleet. The humans, though divided and unprepared, had a secret advantage. And the Zorvans, in their arrogance, had no idea what was about to happen. The first wave of the Zorvan fleet entered Earth's atmosphere, and the humans waited in fear. But as the alien ships moved closer, something incredible began to unfold. The humans, who had been dismissed as weak, now had their final chance to prove the Zorvans wrong. They had underestimated Earth, and they would soon realize that humanity was far more powerful than they had ever imagined. As the massive alien fleet entered Earth's atmosphere, the air was thick with tension. Across the globe, people held their breath, unaware of the magnitude of the danger they were in. The Zorvans had begun their approach with no sense of urgency, confident that their victory was assured. Earth's defense systems were in place, but they were far from prepared to face an enemy as powerful as the Zorvans. In their central command, the alien leaders watched with amusement as Earth's military began to mobilize. The humans were scrambling, trying to organize their defense, but it was clear to the Zorvans that they would not stand a chance. Their weapons were advanced beyond anything Earth had ever seen, and their fleet outnumbered Earth's defenses by an overwhelming margin. They thought to themselves, "This will be over in a matter of hours." But deep in the heart of Earth's military base, something unexpected was happening. The humans had one last card to play. A hidden fleet, built in secret over decades, was being activated. It was the final hope of humanity, a last-ditch effort to fight back against the alien invaders. The fleet was unlike anything the Zorvans had seen before, powerful, and capable of taking on even the mightiest of enemies. On Earth's surface, civilians went about their daily lives, oblivious to the great danger hanging above them. News outlets were flooded with reports of the incoming alien invasion, but no one truly understood the scale of the threat. Governments scrambled to coordinate responses, but they were slow, unsure of what steps to take. Many of the world's leaders had no experience with extraterrestrial threats. They had never prepared for a war of this magnitude. In the Zorvan command ship, the alien leaders laughed as they watched Earth's pathetic attempts at resistance. Their ships were small, weak, and uncoordinated. The Zorvans expected the human military to fall apart before the first attack even came. They were confident that their power would crush any hope the humans might have had. The Zorvans believed they were unstoppable. But as the fleet drew nearer to Earth, the unexpected happened. The humans, who had been dismissed as weak and divided, began to rally together. A signal was sent from the human command center, one that the Zorvans had not anticipated. It was a call to arms, but it was different from anything the Zorvans had ever seen. This was no ordinary communication. The signal was encrypted, a message of strength hidden within the codes. As the alien fleet continued its descent, the humans unleashed their secret weapon. Ships, large and powerful, rose from beneath the surface of the Earth. These were no ordinary vessels. They were sleek and fast, with weapons capable of tearing through even the toughest shields. The Zorvans were taken by surprise. They hadn't known about these ships, and now they were faced with a force they hadn't prepared for. The first battle began almost immediately. The Zorvans' massive ships moved in to strike, but the humans were ready. The hidden fleet, although smaller than the Zorvan armada, was agile and fiercely determined. They moved in unison, outmaneuvering the much larger alien vessels. The humans knew that they couldn't win by brute strength alone, but they didn't need to. Their strategy was different. They would use speed, precision, and teamwork to overcome the invaders. For the first time, the Zorvans began to feel doubt. The humans were fighting back, and they were not as weak as they had thought. The alien commanders ordered their ships to close in, but the humans had already anticipated their moves. The Zorvan ships were large and slow, while Earth's fleet darted around them, striking with accuracy. The human ships were more nimble, and they were using every advantage to chip away at the alien force. The Zorvans were still confident, but now they felt the first signs of uncertainty. The humans were putting up a fight the Zorvans had not expected. They had believed that their victory was inevitable, but now, for the first time, they were questioning that belief. The humans had turned the tables, and the Zorvans realized that they were in for a much tougher battle than they had anticipated. The situation was rapidly escalating. With each passing moment, the alien fleet found itself losing ground. The human ships were doing more damage than anyone had expected. What had started as a simple attack was now becoming a fight for survival. The Zorvans had underestimated the strength of humanity, and now they were seeing just how wrong they had been. As the battle continued to unfold, the humans began to gain momentum. The Zorvans had believed that they could easily crush the Earthlings, but now it seemed as though the humans were not only surviving, they were fighting back with a strength and determination that was impossible to ignore. The Zorvans' arrogance was their biggest mistake. They thought they had all the time in the world to conquer Earth, But now they realized that they were up against something far stronger than they had ever imagined. The aliens had thought humanity was weak, but now they were about to learn just how wrong they were. The battle continued to unfold above Earth's surface, and the Zorvans could no longer ignore the challenge presented by humanity. What had begun as an easy conquest was now a struggle that none of them had anticipated. The Zorvan ships were powerful, their weapons capable of immense destruction, but the humans were proving to be far more resilient than they ever imagined. As the Zorvan fleet attempted to regroup and strengthen its formation, the humans' fleet pressed forward with unrelenting determination. Earth's ships, though smaller, moved with incredible speed, striking with precision and agility. The Zorvans had thought they would dominate by sheer size and strength, but it was the humans' intelligence and unpredictability that caught them off guard. In the chaos of battle, Earth's fleet continued to hit where it hurt the most. Their pilots, skilled and determined, moved their ships through the vast stretches of space with incredible focus. They knew their survival depended on each precise maneuver, every tactical decision made in the heat of the moment. The Zorvans, though powerful, struggled to adapt to the humans' relentless attacks. The humans had been underestimated, and now the Zorvans were facing a truth they could no longer ignore. They were not just fighting a weak species, they were facing a planet that refused to give up. Every time the Zorvans thought they had gained control, the humans fought back with renewed strength. Their tactics were not based on power alone, but on strategy, teamwork, and an unshakable will to protect their world. In the command center of Earth's fleet, the leaders watched the battle unfold with a sense of disbelief. Their forces had been preparing for years, and they had always known that they were capable of great things. But they never imagined this. The Zorvans had thought humanity would crumble, but instead, Earth had become a force the alien empire could no longer ignore. On the ground, people watched the skies with a mixture of fear and hope. They had heard about the alien invaders and the sudden appearance of the mysterious fleet, but many still couldn't believe it was real. Most people had thought that such battles only happened in stories, but now, they were witnessing it firsthand. The air was thick with anticipation as Earth's soldiers and civilians alike prepared for whatever would come next. The Zorvans, growing more frustrated by the minute, issued orders to deploy their best fighters. They sent in their elite units, ships designed for rapid attacks and overwhelming firepower. These ships were faster than the standard Zorvan vessels, built for speed and precision. The aliens hoped that these advanced units would overwhelm Earth's defenses, but they were wrong. The humans adapted quickly, using their own technology to counter the alien advances. They knew the battle was far from won, but they also knew that they had a chance to push back. Each ship in Earth's fleet had been designed for a specific purpose, and the commanders were utilizing every advantage they could. No ship was wasted, no pilot left behind. Humanity's strength wasn't just in their weapons. It was in their unity, their ability to think on their feet and respond to any challenge that came their way. In the midst of the battle, one human commander, Captain Alina Rivers, stood at the front of the defense. She had seen firsthand how the Zorvans had underestimated them. And now, as she watched the alien ships retreating, she knew that Earth was showing the galaxy something it had never seen before: humanity's resolve. Captain Rivers had been through countless challenges in her career, but nothing had prepared her for a moment like this. The Zorvans had come to Earth with the intention of wiping them out, but instead they were now fighting for their survival against a species they had written off as weak. As the alien ships continued to retreat, a sense of hope began to spread across Earth. The humans, who had once been on the brink of total destruction, were now gaining ground. For the first time, it seemed as if they might actually win. The Zorvans' arrogance had blinded them, and now they were paying the price. The alien fleet was not giving up easily, but the humans had proven that they could hold their ground. The battle was far from over, but the Zorvans were no longer confident. They had been forced to retreat in the face of a fierce and unexpected resistance, and as Earth's fleet regrouped, the humans knew that they were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for their future. With every passing moment, the humans grew stronger, more united, and more determined. They had shown the Zorvans that they were not to be underestimated. Earth was no longer the fragile, divided planet that the aliens had once thought it to be. It was a force to be reckoned with, a force that would not back down, no matter how strong the enemy. The Zorvans, shaken and uncertain, began to realize the truth. Humanity was far more than they had ever imagined. And the war was only just beginning. The battle between Earth and the Zorvans raged on, with both sides pushing forward with all their strength. The Zorvans, though powerful, were now facing a challenge they hadn't expected. The humans were proving to be far more resourceful and determined than the Zorvans had ever imagined. What had started as an overwhelming invasion had become a fight for survival, with humanity's resilience shining through in every skirmish. The Zorvans' strategy had been simple: overwhelm the humans with their superior firepower. They had relied on their advanced technology, thinking it would be enough to crush any resistance. But what they hadn't accounted for was the human spirit. The Zorvans had underestimated Earth, assuming that their strength alone would be enough to dominate. They had failed to see the one thing that made humanity unique: their ability to adapt and innovate under pressure. As the alien fleet advanced deeper into Earth's atmosphere, it became clear that the humans weren't going down without a fight. The Zorvans had expected their enemies to retreat in fear, but instead they found a planet united in its determination to defend itself. Earth's leaders, once scrambling to respond, had now begun to coordinate their efforts, working together to ensure that every corner of the planet was covered. In the command center of Earth's defense, there was a sense of urgency. Captain Alina Rivers stood alongside her team, watching the latest updates come in. The human fleet had already managed to drive back the Zorvans in several key locations, and now it was time to plan their next move. Captain Rivers knew that while they had gained ground, the war was far from over. The Zorvans would not give up easily, and Earth would need every bit of strength to hold their ground. The Zorvans, frustrated by their losses, had begun to regroup. They had underestimated the humans, but now they were making adjustments. The Zorvans' leaders had issued new orders, directing their fleet to use a more strategic approach. They began to deploy smaller, faster ships to flank Earth's defenses, hoping to catch the humans off guard. But Earth's fleet, while smaller in number, was no less determined. They had learned quickly how to counter the Zorvans' moves, and their strategy was beginning to take shape. The Zorvans' ships, once thought to be invincible, were beginning to show signs of wear. The humans' relentless attacks, though smaller in scale, were starting to take their toll. The Zorvans had expected to conquer Earth with ease, but now they were finding that every battle was more challenging than the last. The alien fleet, once confident and powerful, was now struggling to maintain control. Back on Earth, civilians continued to watch the sky in awe and fear. News of the ongoing battle spread quickly, and people were beginning to realize that the fight was not just for the planet's survival, it was for their future. The idea of an alien invasion had once seemed like something out of a science fiction story, but now it was all too real. Across the world, people were coming together in a way that had never been seen before. The invasion had united humanity in a common cause, and the world's nations were working together in ways that had once seemed impossible. As the conflict continued, Earth's military forces began to rally. Soldiers, pilots, and civilians all knew that their survival depended on their ability to work together. Earth's secret fleet had played a key role in the defense, but it was the combined efforts of the entire planet that was beginning to turn the tide. People were no longer afraid. They were fighting back, and they were winning. The Zorvans, on the other hand, were beginning to feel the pressure. Their commanders were growing more frustrated as the humans continued to defy expectations. The Zorvans had expected a quick victory, But instead, they found themselves locked in a battle that was far more difficult than they had ever imagined. The aliens had underestimated Earth's potential, and now they were paying the price. Captain Rivers and her team watched as the Zorvan's fleet began to pull back, retreating from several key locations on Earth's surface. It was a small victory, but it was a victory nonetheless. The humans had held their ground, and the Zorvans were beginning to realize that they were not as invincible as they had thought. The alien empire, once so sure of its superiority, was now facing a new reality. Earth was not the weak, divided planet they had believed it to be. It was a planet full of determination and strength, and the Zorvans were beginning to understand that. As the Zorvans retreated, Earth's fleet pressed forward. The momentum was shifting, and the humans were gaining confidence with each passing moment. But Captain Rivers knew that the battle was far from over. The Zorvans would not give up easily, and Earth's victory was still uncertain. However, for the first time in the conflict, there was a sense of hope. The humans had proven that they were capable of defending their world, and they had shown the Zorvans that Earth was not to be underestimated. In the heart of the battle, amidst the chaos and uncertainty, one thing was clear: humanity had found its strength, and now they would not stop fighting until their world was safe. As the days passed, the struggle between Earth and the Zorvans escalated further. The Zorvans, once so confident in their superiority, now found themselves in a battle they hadn't prepared for. Their advanced technology was powerful, but humanity's ingenuity and will to survive were proving to be just as formidable. The humans had learned quickly and adapted faster than the Zorvans had expected. Earth's defense strategies were evolving. Every victory, no matter how small, was a step toward regaining control. The once impassable strength of the alien fleet was beginning to show cracks. The humans were not just fighting back. They were making calculated decisions, using every resource available. Earth's fleet had learned to outmaneuver the Zorvans, exploiting weaknesses in their formations and finding new ways to disrupt their advances. Despite the growing success of Earth's forces, the Zorvans were not ready to concede. They'd regrouped and tried to change tactics. They began focusing on more specialized missions, taking out key human targets that would disrupt their command structure. They attacked Earth's supply lines and tried to cut off communication between the military's various units. They believed that if they could break the coordination of the human forces, it would be enough to send them into disarray. But Earth was prepared for this shift. The world's leaders, now more united than ever, had implemented plans to counter every move the Zorvans made. Earth's technological advancements, though not on the same scale as the Zorvans, were incredibly adaptive. The humans relied on creativity and teamwork to overcome their enemies. Where the Zorvans had overwhelming power, the humans had the ability to improvise. Every setback, every challenge, only fueled the humans' determination to protect their home. The civilians, too, had begun to play a role in the battle. People all around the world contributed in ways they never could have imagined. Some helped to keep Earth's communication systems operational. Others assisted in the construction of emergency shelters and safe zones. The entire planet had become a fortress, and its inhabitants, every man, woman, and child, were part of the fight. Their strength came from their unity. The human spirit had been underestimated, and now it was clear that it was a force the Zorvans could not easily overcome. One of the most surprising developments was the role of Earth's scientists and engineers. They worked day and night, refining their technology to enhance the fleet's capabilities. Earth's secret fleet, once thought to be a desperate last resort, was now fully operational and a force to be reckoned with. The ships were not just powerful. They were adaptive, equipped with technologies that allowed them to counter Zorvan tactics in real time. As the humans adapted their strategies, they found new ways to disable the alien vessels' weapons systems and outsmart their foes. But even as Earth's forces gained the upper hand, the Zorvans refused to retreat entirely. They launched a series of counterattacks, throwing everything they had into the fray. The Zorvans were desperate to prove that they could still win this war. Their commanders were under pressure to deliver results. They had invaded Earth with one goal in mind: to subjugate the planet and its people. The idea that they might lose to this species, whom they had considered weak, was something that the Zorvans could not accept. The humans, however, had no intention of backing down. Every victory strengthened their resolve. Captain Elena Rivers, once a leader unsure of how far humanity could go, now found herself inspired by the strength of her people. She had seen them fight in ways she never thought possible. The soldiers, the pilots, the engineers, and even the civilians, they had all come together to face an impossible enemy, and they had shown that together they could accomplish what no one had thought possible. Captain Rivers made a bold decision. It was time to push back. The Zorvans had underestimated humanity's ability to fight on multiple fronts. Earth's forces began coordinating a large-scale offensive, aimed at hitting the Zorvans where it would hurt the most: their command ship. If they could take down the Zorvans' central command, it could disrupt their entire fleet. It was a risky move, but it was one that could turn the tide of the war. The humans' new strategy was a mixture of speed, precision, and surprise. They attacked from all angles, hitting Zorvan vessels with coordinated precision. The once mighty alien fleet, now stretched thin, found it increasingly difficult to maintain its position. The humans were relentless, and every move the Zorvans made seemed to be anticipated by Earth's forces. The human fleet had learned how to read the Zorvans' tactics, and this advantage gave them the edge they needed. The Zorvans, increasingly frustrated by their inability to defeat the humans, were beginning to realize that their victory was not assured. The humans, once seen as a weak and unworthy species, were proving themselves to be anything but. They had turned the tables, showing the Zorvans that Earth was not a planet to be conquered. It was a planet to be respected. As Earth's fleet prepared for the next phase of their assault, there was a quiet optimism that spread among the people. They were no longer fighting for survival alone. They were fighting for victory. The humans had found strength in each other, and they had discovered that together they could stand against the impossible. The Zorvans had believed they were the superior species, but now they were facing an enemy that would not go down without a fight. The battle was far from over, but one thing was clear: humanity's strength was greater than anyone had imagined. The battle between Earth and the Zorvans had reached its most critical phase. Both sides had suffered losses, but humanity had proven that it could endure, adapt, and fight back with an unwavering determination. The Zorvans, once so confident in their superiority, were now grappling with a reality they hadn't prepared for. Earth, once underestimated, had become a force that they could no longer ignore. The Zorvans, realizing that they couldn't simply overwhelm Earth with sheer force, began to consider alternative strategies. They knew that the humans were quick to adapt, and their ability to surprise the Zorvans at every turn had taken a toll on the alien invaders. Their once unified fleet was now fractured, each commander dealing with the pressure of a planet that refused to fall. The Zorvans' leadership had hoped to bring swift destruction to Earth, but now they were finding that the humans had a way of turning even their most carefully crafted plans against them. On Earth, the mood had shifted. What had once been an overwhelming sense of fear and uncertainty had slowly transformed into a quiet confidence. The people of Earth, though still aware of the dangers they faced, had come together in a way that no one could have predicted. The cooperation between nations, once a distant dream, had become a reality. They were all working together for one singular purpose: to defend their planet, their homes, and their future. Captain Elena Rivers, now one of the most respected leaders in the human defense efforts, stood at the command center, looking out at the stars through the observation window. The battle raged on in space, but she knew that humanity was no longer fighting alone. Every country, every city, every individual had come together to defend Earth, and their combined strength had created a power unlike anything the Zorvans had ever seen. The humans had learned to use their environment to their advantage. Earth's forces, despite being smaller in number, were more agile, more adaptive, and more resourceful than the Zorvans had anticipated. The alien invaders had come to Earth expecting a quick and easy conquest, but they had found themselves facing a planet that refused to be defeated. The Zorvans' arrogance had clouded their judgment, and now they were paying the price. The human fleet, having gained a significant upper hand in recent battles, was ready for their final push. Their objective was clear. They would strike directly at the heart of the Zorvan command structure. The Zorvans had built their empire on fear and control, but now they were about to feel the power of a united humanity. The plan was daring, but Captain Rivers and her team knew that it was their best chance to end the war once and for all. As the human forces prepared for the decisive attack, the atmosphere was filled with a sense of purpose. Each soldier, each pilot, each engineer understood what was at stake. They knew that the survival of their planet depended on the success of this mission. They had fought too hard, endured too much, to allow the Zorvans to succeed. The entire planet was behind them, and they could not afford to fail. Meanwhile, on the Zorvan side, the alien fleet was beginning to crumble. Their ships, once seen as invincible, were now showing signs of vulnerability. The Zorvans had spent years building their empire, but they had underestimated humanity's ability to resist and to adapt. The Zorvans' commanders, once so certain of their victory, now found themselves questioning their next move. Earth was not the weak and divided world they had believed it to be. It was a world that would fight for its survival, no matter the odds. The final confrontation was fast approaching. The human fleet, with all its combined forces, was ready to launch its most daring attack yet. Captain Rivers and her commanders were focused on the task at hand. The strategy was simple but bold: breach the heart of the Zorvan fleet, disrupt their leadership, and take control of the situation. It was a high-risk operation, but the stakes had never been higher. If the humans succeeded, they would not only secure Earth's survival, they would send a message to the universe that humanity was not to be underestimated. As the human fleet moved into position, a sense of anticipation filled the air. Across the globe, people watched anxiously, hoping for the success of their forces. The fate of their planet hung in the balance. The Zorvans had thought that they would crush humanity in a matter of days, but now they were faced with a much different reality. They were up against a species that had fought for its survival, that had come together as one to protect its future. The final battle began, and for the first time in the war, the Zorvans felt the full force of humanity's unity and determination. Their fleet, once so powerful, was now on the defensive. The humans pressed forward with precision and strategy, exploiting every weakness in the Zorvans' formations. The alien ships, despite their superior technology, could not keep up with the relentless pace of the human forces. Earth's fleet moved as one, each ship working together in perfect harmony. The Zorvans began to retreat, unable to match the speed and precision of the humans' assault. Captain Rivers watched as the final pieces of the plan fell into place. It wasn't just a battle for survival anymore. It was a declaration that humanity would not be dominated, that Earth was not a planet to be conquered. As the last of the Zorvans withdrew from Earth's atmosphere, there was a moment of silence. The battle was over. Humanity had won. The war had changed the course of history. Earth had gone from being a planet under threat to a symbol of resilience and hope. The Zorvans, once certain of their victory, now faced a reality where their empire was no longer untouchable. And humanity had proven, beyond any doubt, that it was a force to be reckoned with, a force that would not back down in the face of adversity, no matter how impossible the odds. In the end, Earth had shown the universe that it was stronger than anyone had believed, and that humanity would always fight for its future.